Welcome back. This is Face the Nation. Doing things a bit differently today. I'm not going to go to the final round yet. I'm opening the floor for questions from our journalists once again for a period of 5 to 6 minutes. So let's start off with Nadeem now.
Thank you, Shamir. Dr. Gamage, my question is actually for you. Something you said earlier on kind of startled me. You referred to plastic as clean waste. Surely you didn't mean that.
Plastic? Clean meaning clean when it's cleaned of food waste, bio waste.
But
it is really a
clogs
then only
waterways,
it becomes a
clogs
resource.
sewers, goes into the oceans, kills marine life, it threatens aquaculture, not to mention the damage that it causes to flora and fauna. Surely it's not clean.
Yeah, but if we can separate it at the source. And
But even if you go put it in a landfill, let's say you separate all the bio waste from the plastics and you go and just leave the plastics in the paper, in the landfill it takes centuries to break down.
No, before you take to the
environmental
landfill.
elements may cause it to spread as time goes.
But you said if it goes to the landfill, there's no spreading. But before it goes to the landfill, then once it's clean, once it's free of food residues, it's a big difference. Then somebody can sort through that and pick what's recyclable.
You also mentioned that the whole reduce, reuse, recycle mantra has been there in Sri Lanka since the 90s. Don't you think that if we'd listened to it back in the 90s that we wouldn't be having the problem now?
I think the problem was back in the 90s we were focusing only on that, reduce, reuse, recycle. But that has to be accompanied by disposal. There cannot be recycling without disposal.
Final disposal.
Final disposal. No, recycle. Yes.
But there have been many countries around the world that have introduced bans on polythene, specifically the plastic bags.
Only the poor countries.
To varying degrees of success. The EU Parliament has issued a directive to reduce polythene bag usage by 80% by 2019, I believe. And there are many other countries, so poor countries where there is a lot of plastic bags being used. So they see it as a problem.
Yeah. I think we can go there once we get rid of the garbage that's piling on street corners. See, they're way beyond that. First we have to address the issue of garbage piling in the street corners. And it's not just garbage, stinky garbage. So I think one of our key issues in developing countries is to take the stinkiness from the garbage. That is key issue is to separate the biodegradables from the non-biodegradables. I think that should be the focus right now. And if we do that, then the non-biodegradables can be recycled, the rest can be sent to landfills, and people don't have to protest about the landfills. We talk about sending to Putlam. Actually, if we send the waste as it is to even Putlam, no landfill is 100% sanitary. Things can leach. So it's very critical, even if you're talking about landfilling, to remove the bio-waste. So I think the new mantra should be, even the EU has recognized as one of their priorities, one of their directives is to reduce the bio-waste going into the landfills. But that is the key, I think, for Sri Lanka. If you have to move forward, I think we need to understand that key factor. Plastic is not the problem. The culprit is waste that rots. We really need to understand that.
My question to you is, it's actually from one of our listeners on tonight's show. She's a lead economist and an environmentalist. She says, why not post all the projects coming from overseas developers on the ministry website to ensure transparency and to control corruption?
It was
Can you
all these advertisements in the website too. All were there.
All the projects?
All the websites were in the UDA website.
Right, so it's currently being done?
Done, yes.
Also, why not give 500,000 compost bins in the Western province to those who want to do composting? This will minimize the waste, although it will not please those who earn a commission on each kilo of waste. This question is being sent by Ms. Kusum Atukorla, who is a lead environmentalist. How would you answer that?
Yeah, it is actually, we are continuously telling about this. Tomorrow there will be a cabinet paper for that. We are requesting local authorities to strictly implement this one, separation and transport one. So that will be right. And I want to answer this question, right? Now the problem now, long-term projects are going on, short-term projects are not going. So when public comes, we don't want. So where actually UDA identified when this height went up to 30 meters, right? UDA identified and asked UDA to stop it. And there was a cabinet paper, and cabinet advised local government to stop dumping their one, right? Instructed local government authority, instruct CMC to do it. Where to transport this waste if public come to the road? We don't. Therefore, it has gone up to 48.5. Whose mistake is this?
My last question is to Arjuna. Arjuna, we talk about accelerated development, high-rise buildings, the Port City project, overhaul of the income tax system, all of that. We are in the 4th round of talks with regard to ETCA, but we still haven't devised a methodology to deal with our garbage. Why?
The methodology is complex. It is not simplistic. It is not something that will be channeled to one party alone. That is the mistake. If we go with that route, we will never find a solution. But if we look at a process where all of these people in this country, as citizens of this country, are going to contribute to the solution, then we will find one.
Mr. Gunasekara, one last question for you as well from myself. Have you been down Kaudana Road lately, near the reception center run by the Air Force? You know, you get the canal.
You mean Kaudana Road, yes.
Yeah. Have you seen the amount of plastic that's clogging up that waterway?
I have seen.
That's clogging up the drains there.
I have seen.
Do you think that plastic is not a problem?
It is a problem. As long as it is not being disposed. It is, as long as it's not being disposed properly.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your thoughts in the 1st, 2nd and 3rd and 4th rounds. Before we move on to the 5th round, Mr. Suresh, you said that the Urban Development Authority website has the projects in question. I am right now in the Urban Development Authority website. Tell me, where do I find these projects in question? You have 6 sections: Mega Developments, Urban Regeneration Program, Sukhita Purvara Program, Middle Income Housing Program, Public Fair Development Program, Restoration of Historical Buildings Program. I just clicked Mega Development Project. It says the site is under construction. Now, where can I find this information?
Shall I ask the responsible officer, if you allow me?
Not
I don't
right
know.
now.
Actually,
You said it was there on the website. So, have you been able to access the website and find information?
Actually, UDA reported us like that. So, I'll have to get the information for you.
Right. So, I will probably contact you later on,
yes.
on a different date.
Yeah.
The website, of course, was www.uda.gov.lk.
Yeah.
So, you can take note of that as well. So, we won't go in for a short commercial break. We open the floor for the answers from our gentleman and lady in the final round. So let's start off with Arjuna Seniratna, Director of the Strategic Enterprise Management Agency. What is the way forward for Sri Lanka?
It's very simple. We are now moving differently. We are thinking differently. Our way forward should be a way that is unique to Sri Lanka and something that we have grown on our own home soil. We do not need to import anything, because every development paradigm that there is right now has been an import into this country, and we have seen the disasters that they have visited upon this country. Waste is one of them. If you look at the so-called, quote, developing, unquote, world, it's high energy, high waste. When you look at a sustainable world, we are looking at low energy, low waste. You go there, you solve it. And I'm not going to try to tell you in 2 seconds how the solution is going to be. I think over the last 1.5 hours to 2 hours, I did give you an indication of how we are planning to do this. And let's see whether this will succeed or not. This is something that we have to, this is a challenge for us, and we will hopefully win through.
I see you finished almost half of your glass of water.
Only up to that, yes.
Thank you very much, Arjun, for joining us this evening. I want to talk to Engineer P. Suresh, Additional Secretary of the Ministry of Megapolis and Western Development. What must we do? Where do you see Sri Lanka in the next 2.5 years?
Regarding waste.
Absolutely.
Regarding waste. Yeah, because I believe, personally I believe, long-term project will be succeeded, right? So we should think that if the few years went without any try, now we are trying, so we should try to achieve. So if we practice only we will see the results. So waste to energy project, now only we have started. Our ministry only started. Now we have achieved certain thing, right? Yes. We have achieved something. So please support us. And short term one, come to the road because I request all the medias not to be opposite side. Come other side. Realize, study this. Then you will understand how much government is working on it, how much money they are spending on it. Therefore, I request all the medias to support us, even if you give half hour or 1 hour time. So we are ready to come and discuss, but not in this time because people should see continuously around half an hour, around 8:30, 9 o'clock. If you give the time, definitely we will support, and we will give all these our feasible study. You will have all the videos, how we are going to do it. Everything we will give. What is sanitary landfill, what is transport, all these things. Please support. That is my request.
Thank you very much, Engineer P. Suresh, Additional Secretary of the Ministry of Mega, Police and Western Development, for joining us at a time when people are running away from shows like this. It's nice to see the ministry itself participating in public debate and discourse to ensure that people are cognizant of what exactly is happening in Sri Lanka. Thank you very much, Mr. Suresh. I now move my attention to Dr. Sujatha Gamage, who is a researcher, policy analyst in solid waste management. What is the way forward?
We move from a developing country, low-income country, to a lower middle-income country. But we still have ways to go because we still have lots of poor people who need to improve their living standards. As they improve their living standards, they increase their consumption. So it's not for us to tell people, reduce your consumption. Sitting in Colombo, it's not for you to say, stay in your eco-environment. No, they have to come to the cities to find work. So it's our responsibility, it's the policymakers' responsibility to find what they consume to dispose it properly. And I think we can talk about big policies, we can talk about changing laws, but let's see where we are now. We have, we have isolated Western Province as the biggest problem. And we had a waste management authority, now we have a megapolis. I think this is a policy window, this is an opening for somebody to, at a national level, to take leadership. I hope the Minister of Megapolis get the leadership in solid waste management, not the management, but put in the regulatory framework and the infrastructure. And give the management to the local authorities and give them carrots and sticks. So we'll have the Minister of Megapolis, I think, to move forward, they really need to take the leadership in providing the infrastructure. That is the disposal side. And give the carrots and the sticks necessary to the local government to manage where you reduce plastics, where you separate at the source, all that has to be done by the local authority. So you talk about a carrot and stick approach for the local authorities. Is that what you're saying? Absolutely. What is the carrot approach? One would be to say, because they absolutely have to, once they collect the garbage, they need a place to dump it. So what you tell them is, you bring garbage with more than this % of bio-waste, you will be paying more. If you bring it separated, you will be getting it free. The more less separated, you will be paying more. So all this time we did not have any authority, any national authority put in those conditions. So at least for the Western Province we now have an opening. I think this is the single opening. We shouldn't be talking about big policy changes, big laws, but give the laws that's necessary for the Megapolis Ministry to manage the Western Province. Let's start there. Let's not talk big. Let's start there.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sujatha Gamage, for joining us this evening. First time on the show. Nice to have you on board. Mr. Kesarlal Gunsekar, a former Member of Parliament, former Deputy Mayor of the Dehival Mount Lavinia Municipal Council, seasoned veteran as far as Face the Nation is concerned. So I'm now going to pose a question to you at the end. Give me your thoughts on what the future holds for Sri Lanka.
Shamil, may I start off with something which all of us have forgotten? In the 80s, if I remember correct, the quantum of lunch carriers who were in operation bringing lunch from the residences to Colombo was around 250,000. Will you believe this? They were bringing the lunch of individuals who were working in Colombo to the tune of about 250,000. In fact, I pick up my lunch when I was working at Ford Roads through the same process. We have lost all that. We have lost all this in the sense, lunch sheet, various types of things are coming in to the system. We need to understand it's a multi-pronged attack that is required. On the one hand, reduce the lunch sheets, the plastic bottles, everything. And at the same time, ensure segregation, reuse, recycle, reduce, and finally the sanitary landfill as well. But you need to understand that all these things involve costs as to whether we can withstand and sustain it over a long period of time. In Sri Lanka, we have a serious problem. We start off with a bang, but we don't go that far because we don't have commitment. I will tell you a good example.
Very quickly.
Some of the ministries came out with a program for the traffic snarl in Colombo. I don't think anybody has come out with a solution. It is getting worse. It is getting worse by the day. So in the same manner, unless this problem, which is initiated by the megapolice ministry, we must respect that decision that they have taken to get involved in this whole exercise. Unless there is commitment over a minimum period of 10 years, we are not going to see any success in this whole exercise.
Mr. Gunasekara, one final question before I leave the four of you all. One thing was clear. You all said that local authorities collect garbage. They are vested with the primary responsibility. Not having local authorities now in power and having an election being postponed every single time we discuss about it, is this having a drastic impact on the collection of garbage or the way in which the administration works currently in the collection of garbage?
I must be fair. As the governor once told me that certain councils are doing well. Maybe certain councils are not up to the mark, but certain councils are certainly doing well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gunasekara. Thank you very much, Mr. P. Suresh, Engineer, Additional Secretary of the Ministry of Megapolis and Western Development, for joining us this evening. Thank you very much, Mr. Arjuna Srinivaratna, Director of the Strategic Enterprise Management Agency, for joining us this evening.
And I would like you to, the next time, either knock off the strobes or give me a bottle of glass water.
For sure, absolutely. Would do the needful. Next time you are on the show, I will make sure that we give you some fresh water right from a glass. There you go. That's a promise. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
I want to tell you that already government started. Prime Minister's office now issuing the bottles, not plastic.
Thank you very much. Let's see how that will work through the next few years. Thank you very much, Dr. Sujata Gambage, for joining us this evening. Researcher, policy analyst, solid waste management, and also Mr. Kesarwala Gunasekara for joining us this evening. As always, nice to have you on board, Mr. Gunasekara, on the show. It's always enlightening to have, and thank you very much for being on the show, and I mean it. Thank you very much, Nadim Majid, for joining us this evening. Thank you very much, Attorney at Law Sonali Wanige for joining us this evening. Is your tax money at work? That's a question that I have. And then in 2.5 years, when this program comes into play, as everyone suggested, guess what? There will be elections. Will it really be implemented? Let's hope for the best. I leave it tonight with a quote, as I always do. The future depends on what we do in the present. It's important to understand. It's our future. It's the future of the country's future prospects. Remember, you are not alone. We are with you. Take care. God bless.